Hello everybody, Green Man Bookseller here, and I'm doing a book review video, and I'm going to be reviewing this. It's volume 1 in a series of books there's only 3 in the book series so far, and this is Aethelgifu, the first Saxon abbess. This is like the abbess of Shaftesbury Abbey. It's sort of a fictional book. Now, Aethelgifu, she was genuinely the first abbess of Shaftesbury Abbey, the daughter of King Alfred, who founded the abbey. So, fictional story based on an historical character. It's a nice short little book, and I must admit, reading this book, it was enjoyable, but there were some bits that it could have been. I personally think the story could have been a bit better. It's all about Aethelgifu, because coming from Wareham, was it Wareham Abbey she started off in? No, Wimborne. Wimborne Minster Abbey. So she came from Wimborne up to Shaftesbury, made the abbess of Shaftesbury. And I mean, I quite enjoyed it because I live in Shaftesbury, so it's very local setting. And yeah, there are enough good points in the story to keep me happy, to keep me entertained, to keep me going. I mean, couple of down points. One was some of the exposition, sort of the info dump. Some of the info dump points felt very forced. Didn't really flow very naturally to my point. To my point of view, some of the sort of bit exposition, some of the bits of info that was being put in there, I was thinking, yeah, feels very clunky. Does the info really need to actually be in the story? You know, it's not. So yeah, some of the info dumps, it felt like the info was being put in the book for the sake of having the info in there. That plus the fact that, to me personally, it felt a bit clunky the way it was being added. Yeah, it just kind of distracted me from the story. Yeah, just really, for me personally, really mucked up the flow of the story. But I mean, that's just me personally, because there was one bit where Aethelgifu and her brother, they were talking about their genealogy, and the way they were talking about their genealogy, like I said, felt very clunky, sort of very forced, and it just didn't feel as though that bit of info really needed to actually be in the story. Didn't really sort of propel the story forward in any way. And talking of the story, there wasn't sort of much of a storyline as such to talk about. There wasn't any one particular theme running through the whole book. There wasn't any one central storyline. It was, each chapter was kind of touching on a little aspect of daily life. Sort of Aethelgifu sort of making her way from Wareham up to Shaftesbury, becoming the abbess, and one or two little things that situations that she had to deal with. And I personally, I mean, yes, I enjoyed sort of reading the story, but my personal feeling is the book could have probably been a bit better if there'd been one central storyline sort of running through the whole book. I mean, for example, there was one incident sort of one little storyline that was touched on briefly. When Aethelgifu sort of first arrived at Shaftesbury Abbey, her father, King Alfred, presented her and the abbey with sort of a religious item purported to be a part of the true cross, and the cross that Jesus was crucified on. And at one point, the sort of this religious item went missing, and it wasn't then really touched on until, because it went missing sort of near the start of the book, wasn't really kind of touched on very much. But then towards the end of the book, it came to light. It was sort of discovered. I won't go into any more detail, because I don't want to give away too much of the story. But the way in which it disappeared, the way in which it was found, when I got to the end of the book, I was sort of thinking, my personal thoughts was, that particular storyline, it would have been a lot better, I personally think, if that had been the main thrust of the story, if the book had revolved around this religious icon, the whole sort of it disappearing and coming to light again, and if more had been made of that particular little story. Yeah. But I mean, having said all that, yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this book. How much of it is because it's a good book, and how much of it is because it's based at Shaftesbury Abbey and I live in Shaftesbury, so it's local, sort of a very local setting. Yeah, I think a part of why I enjoyed it so much could have been because of the latter, because it's such a local setting to where I live, But yeah, I wouldn't exactly jump up and down and rave about the book. I wouldn't exactly say, yeah, you got to go out there and buy it. It's absolutely flipping brilliant. I wouldn't exactly wax lyrical about it. But for me personally, it was good enough to be enjoyable. And yeah, it makes for an enjoyable couple of 2-3 hours worth of reading, so yeah. But anyway, that's just my personal views on the book. Obviously, if you've read it, let me know what you thought of it. Did you think it was absolutely brilliant? Did you think it was rubbish? Do you think it was so-so? Yeah, let me know what you thought of the book if you've read it. Drop me a comment down below. Well, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. And in the meantime, stay safe. Happy reading.